No!
What if the moment that saved Bran Stark's life also changed the future of Westeros? Most fans remember the fall. Most fans remember the tower. But almost nobody talks about the second attempt to kill him. That's strange, because this moment may be even more important. An unconscious boy lies helpless in bed. A desperate mother refuses to leave his side. A mysterious killer arrives at the perfect moment. And one direwolf destroys a plan that could have changed everything. So why was someone willing to murder a child who couldn't even defend himself? And what secret was worth that risk? At first, this looks like a simple assassination attempt. Look closer, and it becomes something far more disturbing. This isn't really a story about violence. It's a story about fear. Someone is terrified of what Bran might know. That's the key detail. Bran isn't dangerous because of what he can do. He's dangerous because of what he might remember. That uncertainty creates enormous tension. A dead witness can't speak. A living witness might. And for people hiding dangerous secrets, might is often the most frightening word of all. The writers never spell this out. They don't need to. They trust the audience to connect the pieces. That's one reason the early seasons feel so compelling. Instead of feeding viewers every answer, they make viewers search for them. Every unanswered question becomes another reason to keep watching. Every mystery creates another layer of tension. But that's only part of what makes this scene work. The emotional heart of this moment isn't Bran. It's Catelyn Stark. That's where the scene becomes far more powerful. She's exhausted. She's grieving. She's terrified. Yet she refuses to leave. Most people see determination. There's something deeper underneath it. Leaving the room would mean accepting that her son might never wake up. As long as she stays, hope survives. That's what makes her struggle so relatable. She's not fighting politics. She's not fighting conspiracies. She's fighting the possibility of losing her child. Suddenly, the scene becomes personal, and personal stakes are always stronger than political ones. But then the story quietly introduces something darker. Until now, the audience understands that politics can be ruthless. This moment reveals something far more chilling. Power isn't always satisfied with defeating enemies. Sometimes it demands silence. Sometimes innocent people become targets simply because they know too much. That's a terrifying lesson to introduce this early. It tells viewers that danger doesn't only come from monsters beyond the wall. Sometimes the greatest threats wear human faces, and that's exactly where the real mystery begins. What makes this assassination attempt unforgettable isn't the attack itself. It's the questions it leaves behind. Who ordered it? Why now? Why take such a huge risk? Most importantly, what secret could possibly justify murdering a helpless child? Those questions instantly expand the story. Suddenly, this isn't one room in Winterfell. It's a glimpse into a much larger game, a game filled with hidden players and invisible motives. The assassin himself barely matters. He's not the mystery. He's the clue. His purpose is to force us to think about the person standing behind him. That's a brilliant storytelling choice. An unseen enemy is often more frightening than a visible one. You can't predict them. You can't understand them. You can only wonder what they'll do next. Fear grows when information disappears. That's exactly what happens here. Then there's the weapon. At first glance, it's just a blade. But the blade changes everything. Great stories often hide information inside objects. This weapon isn't important because it's deadly. It's important because it's unusual. Distinctive objects attract attention. Attention creates questions. Questions create engagement. The audience immediately starts wondering why someone would use something so recognizable. That single detail transforms a murder attempt into a mystery. But the most important symbol in this scene isn't the weapon. It's summer. On the surface, Summer arrives as a saviour. That's the obvious interpretation. The deeper meaning is much more interesting. Throughout the story, the Stark direwolves reflect the children they're bonded to. They aren't simply pets. They represent identity, family, protection, survival. Summer's intervention quietly introduces an idea that becomes more important over time. The Starks may look vulnerable, but they are never truly alone. What's remarkable is how little explanation the writers provide. They don't stop the story to explain symbolism. They don't pause for exposition. They simply let the audience experience the moment. That's restraint. And restraint often creates stronger storytelling than explanation. Viewers remember discoveries they make themselves. That's exactly why this scene stays with people. It invites participation. Every clue encourages a theory. Every mystery creates discussion. The audience stops being passive, they become investigators, and that's where this moment becomes much bigger than it first appears. Because the true importance of this scene isn't what happens inside the room, it's what happens afterward. Some scenes create excitement. This scene creates consequences. The failed assassination changes everything. Suddenly, Bran's fall no longer looks like a tragic accident. Someone is still trying to hide the truth. That realization spreads suspicion throughout the story. Trust begins to disappear. Questions begin to multiply. Every conversation feels more dangerous. Game of Thrones isn't driven by battles alone. It's driven by uncertainty. Doubt becomes a weapon. Suspicion becomes a weapon. Secrets become weapons. That's one of the central ideas of the series. Information has value. Knowledge creates power. And people will do terrible things to control both. This scene also introduces another major theme. Small choices create enormous consequences. History rarely changes because of one giant event. History changes because of chains of events. One decision leads to another, then another, then another. Eventually, nobody remembers where the chain began. That's exactly what happens here. The assassination attempt seems small compared to later wars and betrayals. Yet its consequences ripple outward for years. That's what makes the writing so impressive. Nothing feels forced. Every reaction grows naturally from the previous one. Actions create consequences. Consequences create new actions. That's why the political world feels believable. Choices matter. Mistakes matter. Secrets matter. Nothing simply disappears when an episode ends. Looking back, this scene also works as powerful foreshadowing, not because it predicts one specific future event, because it establishes a pattern. Knowledge is dangerous. Secrets are valuable. Powerful people will go to extraordinary lengths to protect both. That pattern repeats again and again throughout the series. Different characters, different situations, same fundamental truth. The writers never announce that this moment will matter years later. They simply place another piece on the board. That's confidence. They trust viewers to recognize its importance when the larger picture finally comes into focus. That's why Game of Thrones rewards repeat viewing. Scenes that seem straightforward suddenly reveal hidden layers once you know what comes next. And that's why this moment deserves more attention than it usually receives. It's not the loudest scene. It's not the biggest scene. It's not the most spectacular scene. Yet it quietly demonstrates one of the greatest strengths of the entire series. The most important turning points aren't always battles. They aren't always dragons. Sometimes they're hidden inside smaller moments that viewers almost forget. In the end, this scene isn't just about saving Bran Stark. It's about preserving possibilities. His survival allows mysteries to unfold. It allows relationships to evolve. It allows future revelations to matter. Remove this moment, and the entire story begins to look different. That's why the scene remains so powerful. It doesn't simply save a life, it protects a future. And that's what makes it one of the most important moments in all of Game of Thrones.